The first lie didn't sound like a lie. It sounded like Lila's normal smile through the phone voice. They want to see the view at golden hour, she said. I'll wait for the last ray. At the same time, my work phone buzzed with an outage on Davis Islands. I grabbed my tool bag and drove toward the bay thinking about fiber runs, not about my wife. I've been a cable engineer in Tampa long enough to know what the sky looks like before a storm and what it sounds like when someone runs out of excuses. I just didn't know I was about to hear both. I'm Nate, 41, the guy your provider sends when a whole block drops offline after the afternoon thunder. My hands smell like copper and PVC glue. I can tell what's wrong with a line by the way a tracer chirps. I don't make a lot of speeches, but I keep things alive and flowing, TV feeds, Wi-Fi, landlines for folks who still have them. Lila makes speeches. She sells sunsets. She's a real estate agent with perfect hair that doesn't move in beach wind and a knack for saying, this light, like it's the first time anyone has felt light before. People trusted her. I did too. That week, Lila had 3 extra showings in a row at the same waterfront complex near the marina. She'd say it in a bright rush. They can only come late. New York buyers. Their flight's delayed. I'll lock up. She made it sound like hustle, not absence. I'd nod, check my on-call calendar, and tell her to text me if she needed anything. Truth is, I liked how hard she worked. It made me feel like we were a team. I didn't know she was playing night games and empty units with someone who had a key to every door. The first jolt didn't come from anything dramatic. I was looking for a roll of coax in her trunk because mine was short, and I knew she kept staging stuff back there. When I popped it open, the smell hit me, coconut sunscreen and a sweet rum scent. 2 beach towels were folded on top of a tote labeled staging. They were not the crisp white towels she uses to make bathrooms look like spas. They were blue with hibiscus flowers. Under them, wrapped in a t-shirt, were 4 bamboo wine tumblers, not plastic, not disposable. The kind people buy for picnics when they plan to keep them. There was sand in the grooves of the trunk mat, not tracked from an open house, piled, like a small beach had ridden home with her. I closed the trunk fast, like I'd opened something too personal. I told myself it was nothing. It was summer. Everyone in Tampa had sand in their car. People brought weird props to sell condos, but the wrong thought had already started. Why did it feel like a secret? That night, a storm line rolled in from the Gulf. I was up a ladder at 9, rerunning a drop for a retired couple who wanted to keep their TV on during the game. Lightning flickered behind the clouds like old film. I pulled the bad connector and my phone buzzed with a notification I didn't recognize. It was one of those clean, polite lock screen banners. Front door, unlocked. It said the condo's nickname. Lila had nicknames for properties so she could tell them apart fast. This one was Pelican West 12B. I frowned because the app icon didn't belong to me. It was a smart lock brand. Lila sometimes used those when sellers wanted to track who went in and out. The only reason I got the alert was because it popped up on our shared iPad earlier that day and Apple's weird cross-device magic had kept it on. I stood there on the ladder with rain starting to spit and watched a door I was not near swing open in digital space at 9:13 p.m. I called her, straight to voicemail. 30 minutes later, another alert, common access, clubhouse gate, unlocked, same property group. The rain came hard after that. I finished my job, drove slow through puddles, and told myself no one opens a clubhouse gate at 10 p.m. for a late showing, but maybe they do. New Yorkers, flights, golden hour. I added maybes until I drowned in them. The next morning, while Lila brushed her hair and hummed in our bathroom, I stood in the kitchen with coffee I couldn't taste. I stared at our shared calendar on the fridge. Extra showing? Pelican West, 7,000 3D, 9,000, was in her tidy handwriting. The day after that had Sunset Walkthrough, Sand Key, 7,045, 9,015. The day after that had Bonus, Marina Cove, 7,015. All the long ones landed on nights when my on-call turned me into a ghost. I thought of the towels, the bamboo tumblers, that clean tiny banner, and something in my chest tightened into a knot you couldn't pull loose with both hands. At noon, I drove past Pelican West. Clean stucco, palms, water a flat gray plate. The HOA sign at the gate was the serious kind. Residents and guests only. Fobs required. Violators will be prosecuted. A man in a golf cart looped slow by the pool like a shark. A couple of retirees walked tiny dogs in matching sweaters even though it was 89 degrees. There was no way some random person could wander into 12B after dark. You need a fob to open the main doors, a code for the elevator, a lock code for the unit. You'd need someone who didn't mind breaking what everyone else trusted. I did a stupid thing. I went to the listing page on Lila's laptop. She always kept a dozen tabs open. I looked for the Smart Lock app, thinking I might see it logged in. The icon was right there on the dock. I told myself I wanted to check if she was being safe, that I wanted to make sure she wasn't alone with strangers at night, that if I could see the logs, I would feel better. I clicked. The app opened smooth. It was already signed in. It listed properties like little hotel cards, Pelican West 12B, Sand Key 9A, Marina Cove 3F. Each had a history, date, time, name. Some had agent names I knew from office gossip. K. Morales, 3012 p.m. Open house, 1005 p.m. But what made my head go light were 2 entries near the bottom of Pelican West 12B. Front door, 9:13 p.m. L. Harper. That was Lila. Front door, 2041 a.m. Guest. The tag guest is what the system uses when someone uses a generic code or a master. There was no showing scheduled for 2:41 in the morning. Don't do this, I told myself. Don't be the guy who scrolls past the point of no return. I scrolled anyway. Sandkey 9A, front door, 10,008 p.m. L. Harper. Back patio, 12,000 to 5 a.m. Guest. Marina Cove 3F, front door, 10,022 p.m. L. Harper. Clubhouse gate, 10,053 p.m. Guest. Pool, 11,001 p.m. Guest. The pool had a lock. Who unlocks a pool at 11 at night? It's a rhetorical question with an answer you can feel in your stomach. I didn't yell. I didn't run into our bedroom waving my phone like a torch. I closed the app and sat very still until my coffee went cold. At work that day, I stripped and re-terminated lines and told a warm-hearted grandmother that her grandson's Wi-Fi is not broken. He just used up the bandwidth. On my lunch break, I called my friend Eddie. He does maintenance for 3 condo associations and knows every HOA rule in the county. He also knows every shortcut. Eddie doesn't gossip. He tells you where to stand if you don't want to get crushed. Hypothetically, I said, if an agent wanted to do extra showings after hours in a fob-controlled building, how would that work? Hypothetically, he said, chewing like he always is, you need a resident to walk you in, or a board member, or a master fob. But masters are tight, usually only board, property manager, cleaning company if they do common area clean. Sometimes vendors get a time-limited fob. Why? Captain at a marina nearby ever complained about night swimmers? I asked. It was a weird pivot, but if anyone knew, he would. You kidding? He leaves me voicemails, says people are using the pool after hours, then walk to the marina docks and drink under the stars like it's a resort. Last week, he says he saw 2-3 couples laughing at midnight. He griped to the board. Board asked me to pull fob logs on the clubhouse gate. Why, Nate? No reason, I said, and my voice sounded like someone else's. After work, I went home and cooked spaghetti with jar sauce because the kids were hungry and it was my night. Zoe is 9 and eats like a hummingbird, picking at noodles. Theo is 6 and eats like a forklift, everything in and fast. Lila texted a photo of a sky so orange it looked fake. Golden hour, she wrote. Wish you were here. I stared at the image until it blurred and my throat got tight like before a good cry. I put the phone face down and wiped sauce from Theo's chin. He laughed loud. The sound cut through the fog in my head like a siren that meant something good. At 9:42, a banner slid across my lock screen in the same cool font. Pelican West Clubhouse Gate. Unlocked. I imagined the click of the magnetic lock. I saw Lila's hand on a metal rail, the curve of a bamboo tumbler catching light from a pool that should have been dark. I didn't sleep. I lay there listening to our AC click, to Zoe's tiny cough through the wall, to the low drone of a boat on the bay. When Lila eased into bed at 1018 a.m., she smelled like eucalyptus and ocean and something sweeter that wasn't ours. In the morning, I made eggs and said nothing. She looked at me twice like she felt the air had changed. After school drop-off, I put the kids' backpacks in the car and shut the trunk. Lila came out with her big tote and stopped when she saw my face. What? She said. It was casual, then not casual. Nate? Pelican West at 2:41, I said. Sandkey at midnight. Marina Cove at 11. Don't make me lie to myself today. Her head dropped a fraction, that's all. Not a gasp, not a hand to the mouth. Just this small movement like something inside gave way and the outside followed it down. I show properties, she said, weak fast. Not at 2:41, I said. Not through a clubhouse gate after hours. Not to a goose with no name. She looked at the sky like the right answer might be written between 2 clouds. Nate, let me explain. Then explain, I said. Tell me a story that makes it make sense. She swallowed. He's not a buyer. He's bored. He helps me get in when the lockbox glitches. He knows everyone. Name, I said. She hesitated. Gavin, she said. Gavin Ross. He's on the HOA at Pelican West. He also works with the cleaning company that does the common areas. He has a master fob. Sometimes we do late walkthroughs because buyers land late. Gavin, I said, and tried the name on my tongue. It tasted like a thing I wanted to spit. Are you sleeping with Gavin? Her eyes didn't flinch so much as glaze. It wasn't supposed to be. She started. Yes or no, I said. I bit each word clean. She nodded once. It felt like the ground slipped under us and the house had to decide which way to lean. The kid's backpack sat there like an accusation. I looked at Lila and saw every open house smile and every just one more showing in a new light. I felt stupid. No, not stupid. Blindsided. Like I'd been driving a road I repaved myself and suddenly there was no bridge. I need you to be out of the house tonight, I said, voice calm in a way that scared me more than yelling. Crash at Jenna's or at your mom's. I'm not explaining this to Zoe and Theo before school. Nate, she said, please. Out, I said. We'll talk tomorrow. Do not bring him here. Do not call him from here. Do not make me the guy who goes stupid in front of his kids. Her face hardened and like a mask snapped on. I never brought anyone here, she said. I would never. Good, I said. Let's keep it that way. She left. I sat down at our kitchen table and stared at the wood grain until it blurred. Then I started doing what I know how to do. I pulled lines, not cable, lines of proof. I took screenshots of the lock entries. I printed her calendar with the late slots circled. I wrote down times. I texted Eddie, if a board member misuses a master fob to enter common areas after hours, what's the process? He sent back, board meets, logs pulled, property manager involved. If paired entries show the same window as an agent's lock opens, they address it. Can lead to fines, loss of access, even police if trespass. Then he wrote, you okay, man? I typed no and didn't hit send. I typed working on it and didn't hit send. I typed working on it and hit that instead. That afternoon, Eddie called. You didn't hear it from me, he said, but the marina captain filed a complaint last night. Board chair asked manager to pull fob logs. It shows clubhouse gate open 3 times between 10 and midnight. Same pattern last week. Pairs up with door locks on specific units. They're mad. It's a liability. Pairs up how? Timestamps, he said. You know how it is. Digital footprints. The fob that opens the gate belongs to guess who? Gavin, I said. Ding, he said, and the humor died halfway out. They're meeting Friday. I thanked him. Then I did the thing I was dreading. I called Lila's broker, not to blow her life up for sport, to get ahead of it, to put a seatbelt on something going through the windshield. Linda, I said when she picked up, it's Nate. I'm not going to rant. I need to tell you something before it becomes your problem. Linda is old Tampa. Pearls and flip-flops, tougher than she looks. All right, she said. I told her the bare bones, late entries, pool gate, master fob, HOA logs. I'm not calling to ruin Lila's job, I said. We have kids. I'm calling because if HOA makes this a thing, I want our kids not to hear it from someone's aunt at pickup. Linda was silent for 3 beats. Bring me what you have, she said. The next morning, I put copies in a manila folder and placed it on Linda's desk. I didn't stay for the conversation that followed. I went back to my truck and sat with my forehead on the steering wheel until the metal cooled me down. Lila texted twice that day. Can we talk after my 3 p.m.? And later, please don't go to my office. I didn't answer either. After work, I took the kids to the park and let Theo climb too high while I stood under and pretended I wasn't ready to catch him if he fell. He didn't. Kids fall less when you're watching. Friday came. Eddie texted midday. Board meeting went nuclear. The captain came to read his complaint out loud, laughed about night swimmers. Board chair asked the manager to put printed logs on the table. Master fob shows after hours opens. Then they matched it to unit locks. Agents' names. Your wife's name is in there. Gavin was in the room. His ex was too. She lost it. Threw his fob on the table. Said he used this to cheat. It's ugly, man. There it was. Everything I've been holding in my head, now loud in a room full of people who say motion to adjourn like an oath. I thanked Eddie again. Then I sat still a long time. That night, Lila came by after I put the kids to bed. She looked small. Her hair was up in a way it never is unless she's working out or crying. She stood in our doorway like it was a church she didn't belong to anymore. They pulled the logs, she said. I know, I said. He made it sound like it was nothing, she said, a bitter laugh. Like everyone does late showings. Linda says I'm suspended while they review. What do you want me to say? I asked. I meant it. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I was tired of writing her script in my head so my life would make sense. I'm sorry, she said. I don't have a hall pass stamped pain, but I'm sorry. Why him? I asked. It came out softer than I expected. Out of the whole bay, why him? He made things easy, she said. Everything felt hard. He had a fob. He could fix problems I didn't even know I had. He texted me at 10 and said, Gate 4, I'll get you in. He looked at me like I wasn't a wife or a mom or a person who forgot to take the trash out. He looked at me like I was the son I was selling. That hurt. It hurt in a place I didn't know was soft. You could have told me things felt hard, I said. I did, she said. Maybe not loud enough. Maybe you were out there fixing 1,000 people's jolts and couldn't hear mine. We sat at our table and talked like 2 people standing on the same roof of a house on fire, trying to figure how to climb down without breaking everything. We set rules. She wouldn't bring him near the kids. She would find a place to stay for a while. We would tell Zoe and Theo something simple, that mom and dad needed different houses for a bit, no fights in doorways, no crying on kitchen floors where little feet could step in it. The broker-caravan in Tampa is a weekday thing where agents tour new listings, eat tiny sandwiches, and decide if the photos match reality. Linda set one for Monday at a house on the river just so Lila would have to show her face and not hide. It'll be quick, Lila told me Saturday night. Lunch, loop, done. Monday, right as I was rerunning a line behind a bank on Dale Mabry, my phone buzzed 3 times. First from Eddie, you won't believe this. Then from Linda, don't come here. Then from an unknown number that turned out to be a video of a conference room full of women with perfect nails and perfect smiles turned into knives. The title, Broker-Caravan, Pelican West Fallout. In the video, a slim woman in a navy dress slammed a gray fob on a folding table hard enough to rattle the bottles of Perrier. You use this to open doors that aren't yours, and you use it to open women that aren't yours, she said. I told the board he did it. Now I'm telling you. She looked at Lila. And you, she turned to Linda. I'm sorry, I tried to handle it silent. He used my key in your house. The room murmured like a beehive. Someone said, this is a caravan, not a courtroom. Someone else said, there are children involved. The camera bobbled and cut out. I didn't go there. I went home. I put a folder on the counter. In it were copies of everything. The lock logs, the calendar, the message from Eddie saying board meeting, the fob story. I stacked it neat because neat helped. I wrote on the top with a black Sharpie for Lila. Then I cooked chicken nuggets and cut apples, and we did homework, and Theo drew a picture of a boat with a big flag that said ZOE, like he was naming a Navy ship after his sister. Lila came late. Her eyes were red, but her shoulders were squared like someone who took a hit and decided not to fall twice. You saw, she said. I saw, I said. She walked to the counter, put her hand on the folder. Is this more proof or a map out? Both, I said. On filing for separation, you'll get served this week. I'm not trying to destroy you. I'm trying to protect them and me. This isn't vengeance. It's a boundary I can live inside. She nodded. Can I say goodbye tonight? She asked. Of course, I said. You always get to be their mom. She went down the hall. Zoe came out in pajamas and hugged her around the waist. Theo ran in circles and then crashed into her legs. Lila knelt and whispered things I didn't hear. I stood in the doorway like a guard no one could see. When she came back down the hall, she paused by our fridge where the calendar still had sunset walkthroughs pinned. She touched one with the tip of her finger like a person reading Braille. I don't deserve you being kind, she said, but thank you. This isn't kind, I said. This is me choosing not to be cruel. She left. The house sounded different as soon as the door clicked. Not emptier, just honest. I put the kids to bed and sat on the back steps and listened to the night. Somewhere across the bay, someone laughed light and drunk. A plane cut low toward the airport. A cat yelled at something none of us could see. The next weeks were slow and fast at the same time. Linda officially suspended Lila from active listings, pending the outcome of an ethics review. The HOA issued a nice letter with hard words to every agent who was in those logs. They banned Gavin from using the master fob, except in direct performance of his duties. He resigned from the board 2 days later and made a big show of choosing to focus on my family. His ex posted a photo of that gray fob with a red X drawn over it and a caption that said, "Sometimes you return what never belonged to you." People argued in the comments for a day and then moved on to a video of a pelican stealing a sandwich on the Riverwalk because the internet always finds a new thing to eat. We told the kids in the simplest words that wouldn't break. Mom and Dad love you. We need separate houses for a while. Zoe asked if a while meant a week or that while that lasts till you forget. Theo asked if he could have 2 toothbrushes. I said yes and bought him 3. On the mornings that were mine, I made pancakes in funny shapes. Florida, a fish, a lightning bolt for the team he thinks will win every game. We drove to school with the radio low. Sometimes Zoe would look out the window and I could see her thinking thoughts she wouldn't say because she is me in a smaller body. Sometimes she would say, "Are you okay, Dad?" And I would say, "I'm okay enough for today." She'd nod like that was a real answer. Work stayed work. People still yelled about Wi-Fi like it was oxygen. I still slid under houses and pulled lines through heat and spiderwebs. One afternoon, a woman in a townhouse said, "You remind me of my son. He fixes what he can fix and leaves the rest to God." I smiled and said, "I'm still learning both." There were nights the ache was a live wire. The bed felt too big. The house felt like a stage after the audience goes home. There were also nights I slept like someone who hadn't been holding his breath for 6 months. That's how grief works, I guess. It doesn't ask permission. It shows up when it wants, and it leaves you little gifts like a morning you don't hate. Lila moved into a small place near Bayshore. We swapped weekends. We sat on bleachers together at Zoe's softball game and clapped when she made a play at second that made her blush. We learned how to talk in short sentences that didn't bleed. I brought the kids to her before dark and did not linger on the porch. She handed me back their backpacks with snacks I would never have chosen, and I said thank you. One Saturday, Zoe had a birthday party at a pool. I stood with the other dads and watched the kids jump off the lowboard like brave penguins. The HOA sign said, "Pool closed at dusk." I read it twice and felt the weird urge to laugh and cry in the same breath. Rules are silly until they're the only thing between you and the night. Later that day, after I dropped the kids at Lila's, I drove past Pelican West slow. The same golf cart dude was doing his loop. The pool was empty in the blue hour. A pelican sat on the dot post like a grumpy old man. The clubhouse door, the one I saw in my mind every time that banner buzzed, was locked. The gate light glowed red. I parked and watched water slap pilings. It was quiet enough to hear my own heart stop hammering. I thought about walking to the fence and putting my hands on it like a movie. I didn't. I drove home and grilled chicken and fell asleep on the couch with a game on low and woke up at 2 a.m. with drool on my cheek. Progress is ugly, but you know it when you see it. The day the separation papers were stamped, I took the kids for ice cream. Theo got the blue kind that makes your tongue look like a superhero. Zoe got strawberry because she is classic. On the way home, we stopped by Ballast Point and watched the water turn silver. "Why is it called golden hour if it looks silver?" Zoe asked. I told her, "Light is a trickster and names are lazy." She rolled her eyes in a way that made me proud. That night, when the house was quiet, I opened the folder one more time. I didn't need to. I just wanted to see the trail I had walked on paper. Lock logs, calendar, a text from Eddie, a printout of an email from Linda that said, "We are taking appropriate measures." I put them back in order and slid the folder to the back of the drawer behind the warranties and the kids' old report cards because life moves and you have to let it. Here's the truth, underneath all the other truths. I didn't set out to catch someone. I set out to keep myself awake in my own life. The smart locks and fob logs and late calendars gave me facts that never raised their voices. That helped. But what got me across the ugly water were small human things. Eddie's quiet, you didn't hear it from me. Linda's steady hand. Theo scribbling a flag for his boat. Zoe asking a hard question and letting my weird answer be enough. Lila saying, I'm sorry, and me not turning it into a weapon to keep swinging. I didn't feel strong. I felt like a guy who kept choosing not to make things worse. Sometimes I drive the long way home along Bay Shore so I can see the sunset Lila loves to sell. The sky does its big show and everyone in Tampa stops to take a picture. You could hate it. You could love it. Either way, it happens. I park, I breathe, I think about doors and keys and who gets to hold which. Then I go home and lock my own door and sit at my own table and wait for the sound of little feet and the spill of little voices that mean my life is what it is, not perfect, not broken, but mine. Two questions for you. Where is the line between a late night extra showing and a boundary you won't let anyone cross? If you had the logs and the proof, would you bring the fire to the room or quietly walk your kids through the exit and choose peace? If this story connected with you, share your take in the comments and subscribe for more.